You didn't arrive here because you're failing to manifest. You arrived here because something in you can feel that the harder you want something, the further it seems to drift. And at some point you realize the universe wasn't responding to your effort the way you believed it should. There's a frequency underneath your desire, a frequency you've been sensing for years, and today you're finally ready to understand what it's been trying to show you. You can feel that already, can't you? That subtle recognition in your body that this message is arriving exactly when it needs to. Because here's the paradox your mind has never been taught to see. Wanting something too intensely doesn't pull it closer. It creates a distortion around it, and that distortion is the real reason your manifestations stall, delay, or seem to evaporate when you get close. You've felt this truth many times, even if you couldn't name it. Those moments where your desire suddenly became heavy, where the energy shifted from excitement to pressure, where it felt like all you're wanting was somehow pushing the outcome away. And the reason it felt that way is because it was. This is where most people stop listening, but you won't. You're already sensing the deeper layer beneath this. The quantum field never mirrors how much you want something. It mirrors the emotional tone behind that wanting. When desire becomes tight, urgent, or overcharged, your signal stops saying, "I'm ready for this," and starts saying, "I don't have it." And the field, precise, coherent, unconfused, reflects exactly that. You know this is true because you've lived the difference between wanting with openness and wanting with tension. The first feels expansive, the second feels like grasping. And inside that shift, you've always sensed a subtle warning, something in my energy just reversed. You're not imagining that, you're remembering it. But here's the part almost no one ever explains. The universe isn't responding to the desire itself, it's responding to what your desire does to your field. Most people try to manifest from the surface, thoughts, affirmations, vision boards, while the deeper frequencies inside them are transmitting the opposite. They say, "I want this," with their mind, while their energy radiates, "I'm scared it won't happen." And the quantum field doesn't collapse around thoughts, it collapses around tone. You feel that distinction, don't you? That little click inside your awareness that tells you this is what's been happening in your own process. The truth is, the moment your desire starts to feel like pressure, your signal destabilizes, not because you're unworthy, not because you're blocked, but because your wanting has crossed the threshold into need, into emotional noise, into the kind of internal static that makes the field unreadable. And this is where so many people get caught. They push harder, they visualize more, they double down on techniques, but all of that extra effort just amplifies the very interference that's blocking the outcome in the first place. You've felt yourself do this, haven't you? That moment where your inner push gets louder than your inner knowing. And yet, beneath all of this, there has always been a part of you that already understood something was off. A wiser layer of your consciousness that sensed you were broadcasting two different signals at once, desire on the surface, lack underneath. You didn't know how to articulate it, but your body recognized the misalignment instantly. That's why you found your way here. Not to learn something new, but to finally put words to what your inner field has been whispering. Wanting is not the problem. Wanting too intensely is where your signal turns against itself. But this is only the outer layer, because beneath the interference, beneath the urgency, beneath the grasping that you've been trained into, there is a deeper intelligence inside you, one that knows how to become magnetic without force. And the moment you understand how this reversal happens, you also understand how to undo it. You can feel that dawning already, can't you? That quiet sense of recognition rising in your chest as if the truth is rearranging itself inside you. And this is where the real shift begins. Not in the desire itself, but in the tone beneath it. Not in trying harder, but in tuning differently. Not in chasing the outcome, but in becoming the version of you whose energy does not invert under pressure. Because the universe doesn't move toward the desire that screams the loudest. It moves toward the desire with the cleanest signal, and you are closer to that signal than you think. The fact that you're still listening tells me your field is already recalibrating. But there is something deeper you're meant to realize next. Something that will make the entire concept of wanting too much make perfect sense. And once you see it, everything about manifestation will feel different. Let's move into it. The reason wanting something too strongly works against you isn't mystical punishment or spiritual contradiction. It's physics. At the most fundamental level, your energy field functions like a broadcasting system, emitting signals that the quantum responds to with exact precision. When your desire is clean, your signal is clear. When your desire becomes overcharged, your signal becomes distorted. You've always sensed this, even if you didn't have the language for it. Every time you felt your manifestation slip, the moment you started wanting it a little too intensely, you weren't imagining it. You were feeling the shift in your own field long before the outcome reflected it. Because here's the deeper truth. Desire isn't the problem. The body is built to desire, to reach, to expand into new realities. The problem is emotional pressure layered on top of desire, pressure that your nervous system interprets as lack, as threat, as urgency. And urgency collapses coherence. You've felt the difference many times. The lightness of wanting something from inspiration versus the heaviness of wanting something from fear. One feels like openness, the other feels like contraction. And your body has always known the difference long before your mind tried to override it. That recognition rising in you right now, that's not coincidence. That is coherence awakening. Think of your field like a tuning fork. When the tone is steady, the quantum can match it cleanly. But the moment doubt, scarcity, pressure, or emotional gripping enters the signal, the tone wavers, the tuning becomes unstable, and the field mirrors that instability back to you. This is why wanting something intensely doesn't draw it closer. It amplifies the part of you that believes the desire is missing, and the quantum cannot override the signal you're actually broadcasting. You already feel the truth in this because your own life has shown you it's real. You've had moments where you felt calm and suddenly everything aligned effortlessly, and you've had moments where you cared too much and the outcome slipped away. You weren't unlucky, you were incoherent. But let's go deeper, beyond metaphor and into the mechanics of it. What most people never understand is that your thoughts and your desires sit at the surface layer of manifestation. The real broadcast happens from your emotional field, your somatic tone, your internal resonance. And this is what the quantum reads. This is what reality collapses around. So when you want something so intensely that your body starts producing tension, anticipation, or anxiety, you're no longer transmitting the frequency of "this is mine." You're transmitting "I hope this happens," which is another way of saying it's not here. And the field reflects that with perfect accuracy. You can feel the resonance of this explanation inside you, can't you? Because something in your deeper awareness has always known that manifestation isn't about wishing harder. It's about tuning deeper. This is why techniques sometimes work and sometimes don't. Not because the method changed, but because your internal tone changed. When you were relaxed, things flowed. When you were desperate, things froze. Your field has been teaching you this for years. Now you finally have the clarity to understand what it's been showing you. And here's where it becomes even more important. Wanting something intensely puts your body into the emotional signature of waiting. Waiting is the opposite of receiving. Waiting means it's not here yet, and it's not here yet is the most consistent manifestation people unconsciously create. In the quantum, waiting is a broadcast, and broadcasts get mirrored. This is why people feel stuck in loops of almost the relationship, almost the opportunity, almost the money, because their field is not transmitting desire, it's transmitting anticipation mixed with lack. You've lived this, haven't you? That strange, painful sensation of being right on the edge of something and then nothing happens. You were reading your own frequency misalignment in real time. Let's make this even simpler. When wanting becomes craving, the signal flips. When desire contains pressure, the field interprets the pressure. When longing carries fear, the field mirrors the fear. And this entire process happens below conscious thinking, buried inside the somatic tone you carry without realizing it. Which means you can say all the right affirmations, visualize the outcome perfectly, do every method you've ever heard of. But if your underlying emotional field is broadcasting tension, scarcity, or urgency, the quantum responds to the tension, not the technique. You feel the accuracy of that, don't you? Because you've done everything right before. But your energy wasn't right. And this leads us into the heart of the matter. Your energy becomes incoherent when you want from the feeling of not yet. That feeling is the true manifestation mistake, not desire, not yet. Because not yet is a frequency, not yet is a message, not yet becomes your reality. And the universe isn't withholding your desire, it's waiting for your signal to stabilize. You already sense this is true on a level deeper than thought. That sensation in your chest right now, that's the part of you that always knew alignment mattered more than intensity. Let's go even deeper into the somatic layer. When you want too much, your body experiences micro surges of cortisol and adrenaline, signals associated with pursuit and survival. The nervous system enters a subtle chase response, and chase is the vibration of not here. When you're chasing something energetically, you're declaring it missing. And the field cannot collapse a reality you're actively vibrating against. This is the physics of why wanting too much pushes your manifestation away. Not because desire is bad, but because desperation shifts your internal state into separation. You know this feeling intimately. You can remember moments where your mind was hopeful, but your body was tense, and the outcome reflected the tension, not the hope. And now the question that begins to rise in you is this: if wanting too much creates interference, then what creates magnetic pull? This is the pivot point, the moment your field opens to a deeper truth. Because magnetic pull is not created by desiring more. Magnetic pull is created by desiring differently. It's created when your field stops broadcasting urgency and begins broadcasting certainty. When your emotional tone shifts from "I need this to happen" into "I'm aligned with the version of me who already lives it." And this is why you've had brief moments of effortless manifestation before. Those moments where you weren't performing alignment, you were simply being aligned. You can feel that recognition returning again, can't you? Because this isn't the first time you've experienced this truth, it's just the first time you've heard it described through physics instead of mysticism. And now, something inside you is stabilizing. You're remembering the deeper intelligence your field has always held, but this still isn't the deepest layer. Because magnetic pull doesn't start where desire ends, it starts where interference ends. And understanding that shift is what changes everything. The reason desire flips into distance isn't just emotional, it's quantum. At the deepest level of reality, your field interacts with potential outcomes through resonance. Reality doesn't line up according to what you think you deserve. It aligns according to what your energy can stabilize. And this is where most people unknowingly trigger resonance inversion. The very moment the desire grows too loud inside them, the internal signal becomes unstable, shaky, overcharged. And the universe responds to the instability, not the dream. Some part of you has always sensed this. That intuition you feel rising right now is not new. It's recognition. Because here's something you were never told. Every desire has two frequencies. The surface frequency, what you consciously want, and the sub-frequency underneath it, which is how your body feels about that desire. The surface says, I want this. The sub-frequency says, I don't know if I can have it. And the quantum field always locks onto the sub-frequency. This is why you've had moments where you said all the right words, did all the right practices, held the visualization perfectly, and nothing changed. You weren't misaligned. You were dual broadcasting, and you can feel how true that is because your own life has mirrored it back to you again and again. The reason this dual broadcast forms is because your emotional body experiences desire differently from your mind. When the mind imagines a future reality, it feels exciting. When the emotional body imagines a future reality, it analyzes the gap between now and then. And if the gap feels too big, the emotional body sends out a frequency of separation. This is desire field interference at its most subtle level. Not because you did anything wrong, but because the emotional body interprets intensity as a sign of distance. You've felt this before. The moment desire crosses from expansion into craving, from possibility into ache. That ache is the distortion point. And now you finally see why. In the quantum field, the version of you who already has your desire exists as an energetic pattern, a coherent imprint, a stabilized frequency. When you desire that reality lightly, you begin to match that imprint. But when you desire it with emotional pressure, you shift out of resonance with the version of you who has it and into resonance with the version of you who is still waiting. The field mirrors whichever version you're vibrating as, which means when you want too intensely, you're energetically choosing the version of you who is lacking the outcome. And life rearranges around that version instantly. You can feel this truth landing in you right now, the way your breath shifts, the subtle drop in your chest, because deep down you've always sensed there were multiple versions of you, multiple timelines, multiple possibilities, and you've also sensed that the one you inhabit at any moment is chosen not by force, but by frequency. That is why you're here. You're remembering how reality actually reorganizes around your field. Let's explore the physics of this. Every emotion you generate is a vibrational state that informs the coherence of your electromagnetic field. When your desire is calm, your field is stable. When your desire is frantic, your field becomes noisy. The quantum does not collapse around noise, it collapses around coherence. So the moment you start wanting something so badly that your emotional field becomes turbulent, the quantum cannot lock onto your intended reality. Not because it is resisting you, but because you are no longer emitting a coherent signal. You've lived this truth in your own body. Think back to the moments where something manifested instantly after you forgot to worry about it. That wasn't luck, that was coherence. And here's the layer most people overlook. Your field is constantly scanning for safety, not physical safety, energetic safety. When a desire feels far away or uncertain or emotionally destabilizing, your field interprets it as not ready. And when something is not ready, your energy unconsciously pushes it away, not to punish you, but to protect your coherence. Wanting something too much tells your field, this thing destabilizes me. And your field avoids instability at all costs. This is why some manifestations stay stuck at the threshold. They are vibrating at the edge of coherence, but not inside it. You've been in that edge state more times than you realize, and now your awareness is shifting into the deeper understanding of why. Let's look at another layer, the psychological one. Humans have been conditioned to equate intensity with importance. If I want it more, I'll get it faster. But in energy mechanics, intensity is not interpreted as importance. It's interpreted as imbalance. The emotional body associates intensity with fear, fear of losing it, fear of not receiving it, fear of the unknown. And fear is the exact vibration that collapses resonance. So the more intensely you want something, the more your body contracts. The more your body contracts, the more your field distorts. And the more your field distorts, the further the outcome drifts. This is the loop you've unconsciously lived inside, and now you're stepping out of it. The quantum field is not a passive mirror. It is a participatory intelligence. It responds to the version of you that feels most stable, most embodied, most coherent. And when your desire becomes too loud, too urgent, too emotionally charged, the version of you who is stable is not the one who has the outcome. It's the one who is craving it. And so the field aligns with the craving self, the waiting self, the almost self. That is resonance inversion. It's not a failure. It's a perfect, predictable response from a conscious universe. You feel this precision inside you right now because your own intuitive experience has been pointing to this for years. And now the question rises naturally, if wanting too intensely pushes the outcome away, then what pulls it closer? What makes the universe lean toward you instead of away from you? What shifts you out of the waiting self and into the receiving self? Yeah, you can feel the answer approaching like a knowing that has been circling you for a long time, because the real solution isn't to want less, it's to want differently. It's to shift the emotional signature underneath the desire so that your field stabilizes instead of scatters. This is where magnetic pull begins. Not in the desire, but in the coherence beneath it. Not in asking the universe to give you something, but in becoming the frequency that has no resistance left in it. And the moment you understand what that frequency feels like, everything about manifestation changes. You can sense that truth stirring already, can't you? A calmness rising, a familiarity, the early signs of alignment returning home. But we are only touching the surface, because magnetic pull is not created through thought or longing. It is created through identity. And the mechanics of that shift are what you're ready for next. What actually blocks your manifestation isn't the desire itself. It's the version of you that rises the moment the desire feels fragile. The version that watches the timeline with nervous eyes. The version that keeps checking for signs. The version that secretly fears the universe won't choose them. That is the self the quantum field tunes into, because that is the self radiating the strongest emotional charge. And this is why wanting something too much becomes its own kind of repelling force. Not because the universe denies you, but because the needing self becomes louder than the having self. You've felt this internal switch many times, the moment when hope turns into tension and tension turns into distance. The field does not interpret that tension as passion. It interprets it as instability. And instability collapses alignment. Your energy becomes unreadable not because you lack clarity, but because you slip into a version of you who is bracing for disappointment. You already know what that feels like in your body, the tightness in the chest, the holding of the breath, the slightest contraction at the idea of things not working out. That contraction is the broadcast. The universe hears that more clearly than any affirmation you could ever say. Manifestation is not a reward system, it is a resonance system. And resonance chooses the version of you that feels most consistent. When you want something so intensely that your emotional body becomes unsettled, the "I hope it works" frequency outweighs the "I already am" frequency, and the field aligns with whichever one holds the most emotional weight. This is why manifestations collapse right at the threshold. It is not sabotage, it is a shift in identity. You stop radiating the version who receives and start radiating the version who doubts. You can recognize this pattern immediately because your own body remembers every time it happened. The truth is, your desire becomes magnetic only when it stops being an emotional emergency. A desire that feels urgent is always a desire broadcasting the absence of its own fulfillment. But a desire that feels natural, lived in, and already integrated becomes an anchor point for the universe to build around, not through force, not through ritual, through stability, through the soft confidence of a field that knows it is no longer chasing. That is the moment you become readable to the quantum. The mechanics of this are simple. The universe isn't measuring how badly you want something. It is measuring how fully you have become the person who would have it. And that identity shift has nothing to do with intensity. It is built from steadiness. The more you relax into the version of you who already aligns with the desire, the more your signal strengthens. The more you strain, the more your signal splits. You have always been able to feel this difference, those moments where your energy was quiet and suddenly everything moved, and the moments where you were emotionally loud and everything froze. This is why trying to manifest rarely works. Trying is coded with doubt, trying is coded with effort. Trying is coded with the emotional signature of "not yet." And "not yet" is one of the most stable signals a human being can produce. The universe does not override stable signals, it matches them. So the real work is not to increase the desire, it is to remove everything in you that contradicts the desire. The more contradictions present, the more interference the field perceives, and the slower the collapse of the timeline you want. And here is where your experience becomes your advantage. You've already lived through countless moments where you softened for just a second, where you stopped gripping the outcome, and the energy around your desire immediately loosened. Those weren't coincidences, they were micro-demonstrations of what happens when identity shifts from wanting to be a quiet field is a coherent field. A coherent field is a magnetic field. You've touched that coherence many times without realizing you were stepping into the mechanics of manifestation itself. The universe recognizes coherence instantly because coherence feels like truth. It feels like a signal without contradiction. It feels like the emotional equivalent of a steady, unwavering tone. When you become that tone, reality organizes itself around you, not slowly, not hesitantly, directly. This is why manifestations often arrive at unexpected moments, because you accidentally slip into coherence without overthinking it. You exhale for the first time in days and the thing you were chasing appears. The field wasn't waiting for more effort. It was waiting for your internal state to stop arguing with itself. You've always had the ability to feel when you're aligned with the version of you who already holds the desire. It's the moment where the body relaxes, the mind quiets, and the desire stops feeling like a future event and starts feeling like a natural extension of who you are. It's the moment where you stop searching for clues in the external world because the internal world already feels resolved. This is the frequency the quantum responds to, the frequency that says, without words, this is mine. Not I want it, not I hope it comes, this is mine. Identity is the bridge between intention and manifestation. You don't attract what you wish for, you attract what you embody. The universe is not reading your thoughts, it is reading your state. And the state of someone who already has the thing is profoundly different from the state of someone hoping to receive it. One is steady, one is shaky, one is open, one is reaching, one is coherent, one is fragmented. You know exactly which states you've been inhabiting because your body remembers each one. What transforms your manifestation is not amplifying desire, it's stabilizing identity. When your energy begins to match the version of you who already holds the reality, the quantum collapses in your direction as if pulled by gravitational force. Not because the universe decided you finally earned it, but because your field finally stopped contradicting itself. That is the moment desire turns from pressure into presence. That is the moment the timeline becomes available. And this is where your path begins to change. Not through willpower, not through intensity, through calibration, through the quiet certainty of a signal that no longer leaks, through the state shift from I want to I am. When you step into that state, manifestations stop being something you chase. They become something that happens as a natural extension of your coherence. And you can already feel that shift beginning inside you, like a familiar frequency waking up, like a deeper version of yourself returning to the surface. Not a new self, but the one you've always been moving toward. You're ready for the next stage of this, the part where magnetic pull becomes active, not conceptual. The part where the field begins to respond to you with precision. The part where desire stops pushing things away and starts drawing reality toward you. Magnetic pull begins the moment you stop relating to your desire as something you're chasing and start relating to it as something you're maintaining resonance with. This is not an intellectual shift, it's a somatic one. Your body knows exactly how to hold a frequency when it feels safe, grounded, and unpressured. You've experienced this countless times in small ways. The moment you stopped obsessing over a message and it finally arrived, the moment you relaxed about money and an unexpected opportunity showed up, the moment you emotionally stepped back from someone and they moved toward you. These weren't coincidences, they were demonstrations of what happens when your field stops leaking energy and starts stabilizing identity. Magnetism is not created by thinking about the desire more clearly, it's created by becoming the version of you who doesn't destabilize in the absence of proof. That steadiness, quiet, unforced, unbothered, is the language of the universe. When your energy stops broadcasting urgency, the field reads it as readiness. When your tone becomes even, the universe recognizes structure. When your emotional body stops flinching at the thought of what if it doesn't happen, you shift into the frequency of inevitability. And inevitability is one of the most magnetic states a human can emit. You're already feeling the sense of recognition in this because part of you has always known that your calm moments were the powerful ones. Most people think they need passion to manifest, but passion is only useful in the beginning. After the spark, passion has to give way to embodiment. Embodiment is quieter. Embodiment doesn't perform the desire, it carries the desire. Embodiment doesn't spike with excitement one day and collapse with doubt the next. It holds a steady tone regardless of appearances. And you know what this steadiness feels like because you've had times where fear lost its grip on you, even briefly, and in those moments, your entire field felt clearer. You weren't trying to manifest, you were simply aligned with the version of you who no longer questioned if the desire belonged to them. Magnetic identity forms when the desire stops living outside of you. The moment you stop imagining the desire as a future event and start feeling it as a present state, your energy reorganizes, not through imagination but through familiarity. Your field begins calibrating around the idea that this is part of my life, not this might become part of my life. That one shift in inner language changes everything. because the quantum responds to the emotional imprint of ownership, not the intellectual hope for it. This is why your manifestations have always come faster when you stopped caring so intensely. You accidentally slipped into ownership. And magnetism doesn't require emotional intensity, it requires emotional neutrality, not apathy, neutrality. Neutrality is the state where you don't shrink when the desire feels delayed, and you don't chase when the desire feels close. It's the state of inner non-interference. You're not fighting with reality, you're not negotiating with timelines, you're not begging the universe to collapse something, you're simply existing in a frequency that has nothing to prove. That frequency is unmistakably attractive to the quantum because it reflects inner coherence, and coherence is the only thing the universe can mirror without distortion. Your body knows how to enter this state. It's the same state you enter when you stop worrying about outcomes that used to paralyze you. It's the same state where you handle life with clarity rather than tension. It's the state where your breath deepens without effort. This is the emotional signature of someone aligned with the version of themselves who already holds the desire. When your energy reaches that level of clarity, reality begins to reorganize around you with surprising speed. Not because you've tricked the universe, but because you've stopped arguing with it. The irony is that people think surrender means giving up the desire, but surrender is not release, it's regulation. Surrender is the disappearance of internal contradiction. Surrender means your emotional body stops screaming "not here yet" and starts humming "already aligned." When you surrender the tension, not the desire, your energy enters the exact frequency that allows the timeline to collapse. You may have tasted this many times, or that moment of letting go where your body softened and then reality shifted as if it had been waiting for you to exhale. What truly builds magnetic pull is consistency, not performance. You don't need to visualize for hours. You don't need to repeat affirmations until you're exhausted. You don't need to micromanage the universe. You need to become emotionally congruent with the outcome. Congruence is the inner agreement between your desire and your identity. When those match, manifestation is not a future event. It is an inevitable arrival. You've felt flashes of this congruence before. You're feeling one right now. That warmth in your field, that softening in your chest, that sensation of "this makes sense." That is the energy of congruence being recognized. This is where your power actually begins. When your field no longer contracts in the absence of external proof, the universe receives a steady message to respond to. When your emotional tone stops oscillating between hope and fear, the timeline stabilizes. When your identity no longer slips into the version of you who is waiting, you naturally become the version who is receiving. Nothing about this state is dramatic. It is subtle, quiet, extraordinarily grounded. And it's the state your higher self has been guiding you toward with every desire you've ever held. Your desire is not meant to be chased, it's meant to be matched. And matching happens when the emotional charge surrounding the desire dissolves. This dissolution isn't apathy, it's expansion. It's the consciousness inside you realizing that you are not separate from what you want. The moment that realization settles into your nervous system, wanting loses its tension. The desire remains, but the pressure evaporates, and that evaporation is the exact moment your field becomes magnetic. You're closer to this coherence than you think. Your awareness is already shifting into the resonance of the version of you who doesn't fear delay, doesn't grip timelines, and doesn't collapse into urgency. That version of you reads reality differently. They don't ask when, they ask, how do I stay aligned with the version of me who holds this? They don't chase outcomes because their field already contains the frequency of fulfillment. And that frequency is unmistakable. You're beginning to embody it now. Not because I'm telling you to, but because the part of you that always knew how manifestation truly works is finally being heard. And as that part awakens, your relationship to desire is transforming. It's no longer something you project outward. It's something you stabilize inward. This is the foundation of magnetic pull. You're ready for the final movement of this transformation. Magnetic pull becomes effortless once your energy stops opposing your own desire. When your nervous system stops flinching at the possibility of disappointment, when your emotional body stops gripping around timelines, when your identity no longer splits between "I want it" and "I doubt it," the entire field shifts, not gradually, instantly. Because manifestation isn't waiting for perfect thoughts, it's waiting for internal agreement. The moment your desire and your identity speak the same frequency, reality doesn't have permission to delay, it collapses. This is why people misunderstand the idea of letting go. It has nothing to do with dropping the desire. It has everything to do with dropping the emotional posture that says, "I don't have it yet." When you release that posture, your field stops emitting interference. And as soon as the interference dissolves, the universe finally has a clear signal to respond to. You may not have realized it until this moment, but your desires manifested quickly were the times you stopped rehearsing outcomes in your mind. You weren't obsessing, you weren't gripping, you weren't trying to control anything. You were simply existing in a state where nothing in your energy contradicted the desire. This is the identity of someone who already has what they want. They don't negotiate with reality. They don't chase, they don't bargain with the universe. Their field is quiet, their energy is grounded, their internal state doesn't wobble when the external world is still catching up. This steadiness is not apathy, it is mastery. It's the inner truth that says, well, but the timeline is not ahead of me. I'm already standing inside it. The world will reveal it when it synchronizes. It's that calm recognition is one of the purest magnetic frequencies you can emit. And here's the part most people never experience. Once your energy enters coherence, desire transforms. It stops feeling like longing. It stops feeling like pursuit. It doesn't even feel like something you're waiting for. It becomes an inner orientation, something you naturally expect, something that feels so familiar that your body responds to it as if it's already woven into your life. This is what the quantum locks onto, the familiarity, not the fantasy. The version of you who holds the desire is not somewhere in your imagination. That version is a frequency you step into breath by breath. You've done this before without knowing it. Think of the moments where you unexpectedly slipped into a reality that once seemed out of reach. A relationship, a breakthrough, an opportunity. You didn't force those moments into existence. You matched them. You aligned with them. You became the steady version of yourself who was no longer questioning whether it would arrive. And in that steadiness, the timeline collapsed without resistance. That same mechanism is active in you right now. Your field is already shifting from wanting into being. This is why magnetic pull isn't loud, it isn't dramatic, it doesn't require rituals or effort or amplified emotion. Magnetic pull is the quietest state you'll ever feel because it's built from trust, not tension. It's built from presence, not pursuit. It's built from identity, not impatience. And the universe always responds faster to the person who stops trying to force it to cooperate. When your energy stops pushing, the field stops resisting. When your tone stops shouting, the field stops hesitating. When your identity stops wavering, the field stops delaying. The truth is, your desire has never been far away. What felt distant was the version of you who could hold it without destabilizing. And now that version is surfacing. You can feel that soft internal shift, the sensation of your body recognizing a truth it has carried for a long time. Nothing outside you needs to change for the manifestation to arrive. What needed to change was your relationship with the desire, from grasping to grounded, from wanting to welcoming, from effort to coherence. You are stepping into the state where your desires stop feeling like requests and start feeling like inevitabilities. This state doesn't beg, it doesn't chase, it doesn't question its worth, doesn't measure progress by external signs. It simply exists in a frequency that reality cannot contradict. And this is what it means to be magnetic. Your field becomes the instruction. Your identity becomes the anchor point. Your emotional steadiness becomes the blueprint through which the future organizes itself. And here's the beautiful irony. When your field stabilizes like this, you no longer crave the desire. The craving dissolves because the separation dissolves. The wanting evaporates because the scarcity evaporates, and manifestation becomes the natural expression of who you've become. The field doesn't bring things to you because you need them. It brings them because your identity finally stopped sending mixed messages. Your steadiness tells the universe, "This is my reality," and the universe adjusts accordingly. You have reached this moment for a reason. Not because you stumbled into this teaching, but because something in your energetic timeline is synchronizing. You felt the pull toward this understanding for a long time. Every desire that lingered just out of reach was guiding you here, not to frustrate you, but to refine you. Every moment of wanting too much was showing you the limits of force and leading you into the intelligence of coherence. You weren't failing. You were being recalibrated. Your field is different now. Your awareness is different. The version of you who doubted, chased, or gripped is losing its influence. The version of you who receives, holds, and aligns is becoming dominant. This is not imagination, this is somatic truth. Your body feels it, your breath feels it, your awareness feels it, and the quantum responds to that exact internal shift. You are not waiting for the universe to choose you. The universe is waiting for you to stabilize in the version of yourself who can hold the reality you've been asking for. And you're doing that now, not later. Now. You didn't arrive here by accident. You arrived because something in you has finally outgrown the old way of manifesting, the way of forcing, the way of gripping, the way of wanting so intensely that you pushed the very thing you desired further away. That chapter has ended. You're stepping into a different field now, the field where desire doesn't chase, it magnetizes, where identity doesn't wobble, it anchors, where the universe doesn't hesitate, it responds. This is the shift you were always meant to make. This is the version of you the quantum has been waiting for. You are no longer the seeker, you are the signal, and now the field can find you. If this message resonated, if something inside you softened or aligned or awakened, stay connected to this space. More of your remembering is coming.